So I do want to start this video by saying, if you have a thoughtful comment that you'd like to leave, I'd love to hear it, but please wait until the end of the video. Watch the entire video before you leave a thoughtful comment down below. What's up, guys? Thanks for clicking on today's video. In this video, we're going to talk about the recent controversy with my Amazing Spider-Man 26 variant by Gabriel Dell'Otto, and I'm going to do my best to break the whole thing down, explain how we got here, exactly what happened, and hopefully, how we can move forward and some potential takeaways from this whole process. I know some people will be tuning in and hearing about this for the first time. Others of you have been following along, so I'm going to do my best to make this as digestible and cohesive as possible. So let's start with a quick recap of what this variant was. So this was Amazing Spider-Man 26 by Gabriel Dell'Otto. And it was a store exclusive for Bryce Comics. I made it only available through a mystery box. There was 480 graded copies of the trade dress available and 20 copies of the Virgin, 20 graded copies of the Virgin available. It sold out through the mystery box, and then in the aftermarket, the sale prices of this book were posting some really high figures. I did a whole video about it. I'll put a link down in the description to that if you want to get more details about the history of this whole project. But those sales in the aftermarket is what drew a lot of attention to this book. And so then it came out through somebody on Instagram who posted that this wasn't the first time that this art was used. And they posted some pictures of this art being used previously in a foreign market on a foreign comic under a foreign publisher 19 years ago, okay? And I'm gonna break all of that down, what I just said there, because this was all very confusing to me. I mean, I was completely blindsided by all of this. And so I'll put up on the screen, these are the images of the exact same art that was used first in 2004 on a foreign comic, and then I also saw it pop up on a hardcover project, and that's all that I know about at this point. But then 19 years later, it was presented to me as an option for an exclusive for Amazing Spider-Man 26, and it was presented to me as new art. And I was led to believe that this was new art for my store exclusive. I had no reason to believe that this was previously used in any capacity before. And furthermore, it wasn't even on my radar that this was a possibility, that something that a store exclusive could be previously used art. And since then, it's come out that I am not the first one. In fact, there's at least one other Dell'Otto cover that this has happened where a store exclusive, and I'll put up on the screen, I don't even know which store this was off the top of my head, but their store exclusive was originally used on a sticker book on a foreign project. So it was a foreign sticker book cover, and then it was used after that on their store exclusive. So it's not the first time, and who knows how many times this has actually happened. And we'll get more into the whole licensing side of it, but I want to get back to the part about me not knowing about it, because there's a lot of questions that people would say, how could you not know about this? I mean, after all, your logo is on the back of the book, and there's so many questions around the variant process and how variants are acquired. And I do have to say that, working with Marvel, you sign a non-disclosure agreement, you sign an NDA saying that you won't reveal any of the process about how you acquire a retailer exclusive. So there's a lot of things I can't talk about, and it's really a shame because there's nothing that needs to be hidden. My business is built completely on transparency and just laying it all out there. This is how much I paid. This is how much I sold it for. I mean, if you follow the channel at all, you know that it's just 100% transparent. So, but when you work with big companies like Marvel and stuff, NDAs are involved. So if a retailer is presented with a cover and they're led to believe that it's true and you have no reason to think otherwise, I mean, why would you do any other kind of research to figure out if it was new? And even if I did suspect that this was used before, like no amount of due diligence would have led me to find this artwork online. When International Comics posted that, you look on his post, it says like Leumo Ragno Speciale Anniversario number 10 or something like that. When he made that post, I typed it into eBay to see if I could find the listing, to see if I could get a better image of the actual comic that he made the post about, and I typed it in exactly like it's listed on eBay in the foreign market, and it doesn't show up on my eBay search. And when I type it into Google, it doesn't show up at all. And even if you dump that image, the exact cover image from my store exclusive or the comic, if you dump that into an image search, it doesn't pull it up. So it's because it's international. It was used 19 years ago. I didn't recognize the art. There's no one even in the United States that has this book for sale. So like the odds of me recognizing the art are slim to none. I didn't recognize it. And so I just, assumed that it was new art. Now that this is on my radar, you can trust and believe that every single time I have a store exclusive, I'm going to ask the explicit question, has this image or this artwork been used in any capacity in markets foreign or domestic, and really ask that question. I actually just did it for another exclusive that I have coming up, and they were like, what are you talking about? You were a part of the sketch process for this. Like, how could this possibly have been used? I said, look, I'm just doing my due diligence because now it's on my radar that this is something that I have to do. So I want to give another example to shed a little bit of light about the variant process with one of my exclusives for Boom Studios. So for Boom Studios, I had an exclusive by Zoo or Zoo for Something That's Killing the Children 21. And the way that Boom Studios did it at the time, I haven't had an exclusive with them for a while. They may have, altered their process a little bit, but at the time, the way they did it is they curated comic book covers in advance. So they wanted to be more in control of the artwork so that, they can make sure that their creative team was on board with it. So Boom Studios would curate a bunch of covers and then send them out to retailers in an email and say, these are the covers that we have available for store exclusives. If you want one, it's first come, first serve, go. And if you were fast enough to respond to the email quick enough, you were lucky enough to get one. And I was lucky enough to get one for Something That's Killing the Children 21 by Zoo or Zoo. Now, when that email was sent out, it says, we have these covers available. I mean, it wasn't on my radar to say, has it been previously used before? I mean, why would you? You just completely assume that it's new art. Now, I would imagine that they have like a treasure trove of artwork for store exclusives for Something That's Killing the Children. I mean, they probably have a whole bunch of art that they've curated from artists that hasn't been used before, that they, might be able to pull out here and say, hey, do you want to use this for this cover or this for that cover? So my point is that every publisher does it a little different. Boom Studios does it a little different than Marvel Studios does it a little different than IDW, than Image, etc. For Image Comics, the way it works with them is different than most of the other companies. With Image, the retailer is responsible for contacting the artist yourself, working out the payment process yourself, going back and forth, getting the sketch. Then you have to take the actual image, send it to Image, and get it approved. It has to go through the creative team. So that's how the process works with them. Other companies have the artist commission and fee baked into the whole cost and give you like a per book price. My point is that it's different for everyone. It's very convoluted. It's very nuanced. And I understand why people would be so confused about it, because I would be too. I would make the assumption that if you have a store exclusive, that you're, going out to coffee with the artist, that you're sitting down, that you're talking about the concept, that you're going back and forth with, tweaking this here, tweaking that there, and it's, made fully aware, the ins and outs, but it's not always like that, okay? And if you don't know about the process, just don't make assumptions. Like, there's just no way that you could know all of the details for all of the different publishers. So a little bit about the licensing aspect of this, because, this was all very confusing to me, and I am not an expert on licensing, nor do I want to be an expert on licensing, but here we are. So the way I understand it is Marvel owns the licensing for any image created for Marvel. I believe it's Disney that owns that, right? And I really hope somebody else does a YouTube video about this that knows the ins and outs of this, but I know enough to answer some burning questions about this. But the publisher of Panini, which is the publisher in Italy, is completely separate from the publisher in the United States. It's a different publishing company. And so the way I understand it, there's nothing illegal about a comic book that was an image that's owned by Marvel that was originally released in a foreign market being used on an American comic book. Now, just because something is legal doesn't mean it's acceptable. And that's what I keep coming back to on this. And I think that the comic book community has been pretty much unanimous in their response to this, that reusing artwork that was previously used is unacceptable. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. And I really hope that artists and publishers and stuff going forward take this to heart, because it's important to collectors. And it's important that we as retailers, publishers, artists, everybody involved in this hobby, in this community, that we value, respect, and understand the collector's mindset. Because at the end of the day, the collector is the one who funds the hobby. If the collectors are gone, so is the industry. So it's really important that we listen when collectors are speaking out and saying that something's important to them. And it's important to collectors that we don't reuse art. At the very least, disclose when it is reused, at the very least. But I would say just completely avoid it altogether, because it's got such a bad look and feel. So that's one of the reasons I was so surprised that people would think that I knew about this ahead of time, or that I, colluded with Delato on this somehow. And because I do understand the collector's mindset, and I understand that this would completely blow up if I withheld this information and then it came out later. I mean, that would be like me taking a ticking time bomb into my business that I've worked so hard to build on trust and reputation and honesty and transparency, and just hope that this ticking time bomb doesn't explode. That would be absolutely bananas. So I want to try to put a positive spin on this, or find some way that we can take what happened in this fiasco and use it to grow as a community, and take, a positive spin on this. And I think the main conversation that should be gleaned from all of this is we need to bridge the gap between the collector's mindset and any other mindset that doesn't match up with the collector's mindset. So the collector's mindset, what we want as collectors is we want good stories, good art, and we want the printed matter to be treated as collectibles. Having the books being treated as collectibles really entails two things. One, it means that we protect the integrity of the rarity of the comic books, which means that we're transparent about print counts, and that, we respect the process behind the rarity component of comic books. This would mean, like, if there's a publisher, if there's like a 1 in 1,000 variant that's only supposed to be released for every 1,000 copies ordered, if there's like overprint or something, this would mean that those publishers destroy the overprint. That's protecting the integrity of the rarity of collectibles. Or if you're going to limit a print count for an exclusive, that it's somehow verifiable with, numbered COAs, CGC census, things along those lines. And then as far as protecting the books as collectibles in the whole process of production and distribution, that's another point that we drastically lack in this community is, the people that are printing the books don't understand that those 1 in 1,000 really expensive comic books are valuable, and they treat them as if they're worth $2 or $3 and ship them as such. I've talked about this a lot on this channel. But I think that we as a community would be stronger, that the integrity of this industry would be stronger, and that the sustainability of this industry would be stronger if everyone involved adopted the collector's mindset, or at least understood where collectors are coming from. One thing that you see with artists, sometimes you'll see like an artist doing a signing, and they just sometimes, and not to name names, or I'm definitely not painting a broad stroke here and saying that all artists are like this, but a lot of artists don't understand the collectability or don't respect the collectability of books. You'll see them during a signing and they kind of manhandle the books, and it might be like a $5,000 book and they're signing it, and maybe they put their thumb on the spine and put a big crease on it. Well, that one little crease can change the value of a $5,000 9.8 to a $1,500 9.4. And there's a huge price difference between a 9.8 and 9.4 for these highly desirable rare collectibles. And so it's important that artists understand how important condition is, even if they don't agree with it. I mean, I know some artists that think it's just crazy and they'll just manhandle books on Whatnot and just show like, this is not, near, it's just, no, you need to respect the collectors because they're the ones buying the items and they're the ones funding this hobby. So we'll all do so much better as an industry if we respect and understand the collector's mindset. I want to say something about giving away your power, because I've seen a lot of posts on Instagram, and I have for years now, of people saying this is ruining the hobby, such and such is ruining the hobby, manufactured scarcity is ruining the hobby, speculators are ruining the hobby, FOMO is ruining the hobby. When you say something is ruining the hobby, you are giving that thing your power. Don't give your power away. This hobby, collecting comics, is supposed to be a respite for us. It's something that we enjoy. It's an incredible hobby. And if you're going to let manufactured scarcity or FOMO or speculation ruin it for you, you're missing out on this incredible experience that you could be having. So don't let anything ruin the hobby for you. Own your own experience, own your own emotions, and choose what you give power to. Now I want to end with a message from the heart, okay, for you guys and everyone affected by this. If you go back and watch the original video that I posted about doing this store exclusive with Gabriel Dell'Otto, you could see the excitement in my eyes and my voice. I mean, it's just very transparent how passionate I am about this hobby. And, you know, I've been a huge fan of Dell'Otto for so long, and I still am. And, you know, I tried for years to get an exclusive with him. I mean, every time there was a cool new milestone issue or something, I mean, I would send countless, I mean, probably over 100 emails requesting art from Dell'Otto. And Dell'Otto is so big, such a megastar that the answer was always, no, he's not available. No, sorry, he's not available. And so when this opportunity happened, I mean, I was over the moon to have a comic with art by, you know, one of my industry heroes, Dell'Otto, and then to find out that it wasn't original art, that it was used in a foreign market. I mean, I was devastated, just guttered. I felt like it threw cold water on the whole thing. What am I going to do? Am I going to wallow in it? Am I going to cry about it? No, I'm going to try to find the positive. I'm going to try to make lemonade out of lemons, and I'm going to try to move forward. You know, I honestly believe that there was probably just a miscommunication somewhere along the lines with Dell'Otto. I don't even know for sure if he knew that this was being used for my store exclusive. You know, I mean, he is such a mega star. He has, you know, probably multiple agents working for him. And there's a chance that he's not even aware of any of this. This might blindside him just as much as it's blindsiding you and me. So I just want to say, I'm truly sorry, you guys, for anybody that was affected by this negatively, for any negative outcome that this may have caused. It was unintentional, and you have my sincerest apologies. And going forward, I am going to do absolutely everything in my power to do my due diligence to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. And, you know, the way that life works and the way that this industry works, there's probably going to be something else that comes up in the future, right? I mean, this was the thing that just happened. We figured it out and we've addressed it. Now, what's going to be the next thing, you know? And I would just ask that, you know, that you have grace and compassion for people as they're working through life. You know, let's just be kind to one another and give people a chance when they deserve it. So thank you to everyone for the support. I really can't thank you guys enough. The people that have reached out to me to show their support when this all came to light. I mean, I am so grateful to you guys, and also everything that's going on in my personal life for those that have reached out. I can't thank you enough. I'm really, really grateful, truly humbled for the support from everybody so far. So thank you for sticking with me, and stay tuned for, let's move on to some more fun and exciting things. Let's collect some cool comics, and thanks for sticking with me to the end. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.